Alex Benson, Deuce Recruiting, Born to Compete. Got the guy, National Recruiting Director, Coach Gary Downs. And Coach, man, look, man, you played football at a high level in college and the pros, and you also coach as a recruiting coordinator and running back coach in college. Obviously, just leaving that post to come hang out with us. We appreciate it so much. But we were talking about the height, weight, size metrics that coaches use, that colleges use when they are identifying players. I'm not say selecting them, but when they're identifying players and going through their process, and that's something that parents, players, and coaches, at the high school level could, use that information on or need to know. Just tell me about it in your opinion and how parents should look at it and how players should look at it.
A coach will start with a preferential idea of what he wants a position player to look like. Let's say you take the outside receiver to the boundary, the X. Coach might say, well, my ideal X is 6'1" plus or 6'2" plus. Then he'll have a body weight. I like him to be 6'1" plus, and I like him to weigh 185 pounds and be 4'5". So you start with the height, weight, speed. You start with those critical factors. Some programs will filter everybody through their system as a height weight. Let's say you have offensive tackle. They might set that at 6'5". They might set the weight at 290. And then they will have a speed. It might range around 5 flat or something like that. You're talking about guards. You're talking about maybe 6'4". If you drop down a level, the tackle goes from being about 6'5" to being about 6'4", and the tackles go down to, the guards might drop down to, let's say, 6'3". Centers, maybe 6'3" on the Power 5. You drop down to FCS, you might be looking at 6'1", 6'1.5". So everyone, whether pros or college, has a metrics for height, weight, for every position. If you're talking about quarterbacks, Power 5, they might say, we like our quarterback to be 6'1", and they want that body weight to be around 190. If you get on the defensive side, you look at cornerbacks, Power 5, they might list it 6 foot tall. You go down to G5, might be 5'11", FCS might be 5'10", 5'10.5". So they have that as a general parameter to sort of filter out people. Now, let's say you are a running back, and someone says, we like our running backs to be 5'10", 200 pounds, and run a 4'5". Well, let's say you don't fit that matrix. Then as an outlier, if you're productive, you have to be better at one of the other critical factors beyond height, weight, and speed. That is quickness, short area quickness, explosiveness, body control. You might be extremely strong. You might have great acceleration, or you might have great leaping ability. And then you get into position specifics. Maybe it's your ball skills as a receiver. Maybe as a DB, you have great man-to-man coverage skills. Or maybe as a quarterback, you are not as tall. You are not the 6'3", 6'4" Peyton Manning type, but your intelligence, your football IQ is outstanding. And so when you start with the height, weight, speed, and then you go into the athleticism. From that, you go into major factors, which might be the football IQ. And then you get into the intangibles, which is the character, the work habits, the competitive spirit. So you're not going to be eliminated entirely because you don't match that, but it does give them a starting point. But if the other things about you make you jump off the screen, you just keep showing up from camp to camp, year to year, they're going to take that second look and say, okay, this kid is not as big as our normal tackle. This kid is not as fast as our normal running back, but something about him. And to the very trained eye, they notice things. So let's say you got a Power 5 program. They're not just looking at the height, the weight, and the speed. They're going to look at your flexibility. Can you bend? Can you change direction? How strong you are, how explosive you are. All those things matter. But the first thing is just a filter. No different than if you're going to buy a car and you say, well, I'm looking for a sedan. That's 4 doors. Every car that doesn't have 4 doors, you filter them out. But then you come across a dealership and they got a great deal on a coupe. Man, that coupe is $5,000 off. It's got all the horsepower, all the bells and whistles. I'm getting a coupe. I came in here looking for a sedan, but today I'm driving away with a coupe. And that's how it ends up in football. They come in looking for a certain pitcher. They come in looking for the Randy Moss. But this dude right here only 6'1", but he's putting up the numbers. He's got the same kind of bend that Randy Moss. He got the same kind of speed as Randy Moss. He ain't built like him, but he is inside. So therefore, they walk away with you as a 6'1" guy outside versus the 6'5" Randy Moss. In a nutshell, that's what it is.
Hey man, look, I get to enjoy, just sit back and listen to you, man. And me and you've had so many great conversations when it comes to football, and just life in general. But I tell you what, man, that is something that I hope parents, players, and coaches, especially at the high school level, have listened to. No matter what you do, man, there's going to be a height, size, weight metrics that people look at. look, and it's not the end all be all, but it is a filter. It is the way they are looking at things. And if you are not that, that's okay. Like Coach said, there needs to be something elite about you, and that's when your intangibles come in. That's when other things come in that you can go ahead and get the coaches, catch his eye, so to speak. And as we always say, man, compete like heck, and get after it. And a competitor. Everybody always wants a competitor in their locker room. Everybody wants one.
That Rocky spirit, you cannot look. It's so like the movie Seabiscuit, War Horse, that was 17 hands high. Seabiscuit was a small horse. And some of us are Seabiscuits, not Rudy's. I said Seabiscuit. Nobody want to be Rudy. Don't be Rudy. But you can be smaller. But if you're smaller, you're more athletic, be tougher, be more skilled. You can look. The two most important abilities are dependability and accountability. Those things. I mean, if you're dependable and you're accountable, if you're tough, if you're disciplined and you're selfless, somebody's gonna want you on their team. Go where you want it. I always say go where you want it. And if you keep that pressure on long enough and you keep showing up, you keep producing, somebody's gonna say, hey, I want that guy on my squad.
That's why he's over here with us with Deuce Recruiting. To me, I'm going to say it right now, one of the best in the business, man. Coach Gary Downs, National Recruiting Director, Alex Benson, Deuce Recruiting as well, Born to Compete. Hey, man, y'all take care. Deuces.